In this video, I put together the 50 best Sea of Thieves tips for 2025. Whether you're just starting out or returning to the game, or a regular player wanting to improve their skills, this video will have something for you. I split this video into sections, starting with basic tips for newer players, then some general tips that will just help the average player, and finally, some expert tips for those who are trying to reach the next level. However, there are good tips spread throughout the video, so if you do want to get the most out of this video, I'd recommend watching all the way through. So let's start with a few beginner tips that are essential when starting out. Purchase and raising an emissary flag for a company will give you boost reputation and gold when selling. Raise a flag, and whenever you pick up loot for a company, you'll raise your flag's grade down the bottom left. Once you get the flag to grade 5, you'll earn a 2.5 multiplier on all loot you sell. The starting supplies on your boat are pretty bad, so be sure when leaving the outpost, head to the merchant to buy all available supply crates, including the food, which now gives a range of good food compared to back in the day when you used to just have 50 bananas. Sea forts contain the best food in the game, so if you're low on food, head to any sea fort on the map with a storage crate and you can get some of the best food in the game, including lots of pineapples, meat, and high level fruit. When stationary, you never want to leave your anchor down. Instead, just raise your sails all the way up. This way, if someone runs up on you, you won't be stuck in place and you can just easily drop the sail back down to move. If your boat can't catch wind, turn the sails as far as they can in the direction of the wind. This does seem obvious, but back in the day, it used to be the meta to just leave the sails facing forward if you don't have wind. So any returning players, remember this. Buying a boat is going to be beneficial for several reasons. First off, you can sell all loot to the sovereign instead of running each piece of loot around the whole island. On top of this, your boat cosmetics save each session, so you don't have to spend time putting them on every time, and you can even buy bonus supplies at the shipwright. When doing quests that require a map, you can press the F key on keyboard or square on PS4 and X on Xbox. It will zoom in on the map to help you pinpoint where the digging spot is. When you find yourself in combat with another player, remember to be stocked with the best food you have, and the second you take damage, eat straight away. Even if you have an open shot on the enemy, if you're below 75 health, you need to eat. This is because while you're lining up the shot, the other player is reloading their gun is going to hit you with another sniper shot. Healing should always be priority in Sea of Thieves, and eventually it'll just become muscle memory the second you take damage to eat food. If a player is throwing fire on your boat, the easiest way to put it out is to get a bucket of water and stand directly on the fire and then quickly press L2 or right click to throw the water on yourself, as this not only puts you out, but it puts the fire you're standing on out along with it. This tip is especially helpful when there's fire on the back of your boat, when you can sometimes overshoot the water. Tridents are pretty useless in PvP, but they do increased damage to all PvE. So if you need to kill a boss and got spare tridents, you might as well use them to save some time. Being stealthy is a huge playstyle in Sea of Thieves, so there are actually several hiding emotes that you can hide your name from other players in game. There is a hide bundle in the Emporium. The standard hide emote is free, but if you want, you can buy more, but the basic one works for like 90% of scenarios, so you should be fine with just this one. Now you can hide on other players' boats without your name tag giving you away straight away. If you want to know if there's other players in your area, the best way to figure it out is by looking at mermaids. When a player is a certain distance from their boat, a mermaid automatically spawns, and unlike your mermaids, the enemy mermaids don't have blue smoke, making them far harder to spot. Sometimes when an enemy's boat sinks, their mermaid will stay in the water for a while, but once all players in the area return to a boat, the mermaid will disappear. So if it doesn't, 9 times out of 10 there's another player on the island somewhere. If you hear someone going for a board on your boat, which is indicated by the little splash noise, the best way to stop them from getting aboard is to throw a blunder bomb. Even if it doesn't make direct contact, the impact from the bomb will send even the very best players flying to where they won't be able to grab the ladder unless they have a harpoon gun. An important setting that a lot of new players forget to change is to up your FOV from the default 78. In the most recent update, they've actually upped the maximum FOV from 90 field of view up to 110. As you can see, increasing this gives you way more visibility, making the game look better while also giving you more of an advantage, as stuff like tracking players and your overall awareness is going to be way better. Another essential tip when you're starting out is to make sure you're not getting attached to your loot. Remembering that your loot isn't actually yours until you sell it is going to make the game way more enjoyable, because I know it's frustrating when your hard work of digging up chests gets stolen, but remembering it's a game about pirates and that is part of the challenge, you're going to have a way better time on the game. And finally, the last tip I have for you beginners is don't spam ring the bell and spam block the sword at the same time. Trust me, it's a really bad idea. Now for some medium level tips. As I mentioned before, stealth is a huge part of Sea of Thieves, so it's a good idea to check your boat every now and then for players doing the hide emote on your boat. So here are some of the common hiding spots other players use that you should check. Behind the wheel, it's a pretty common one. Check down next to the quest table, behind the water bucket, and in front of the cannons, and lastly the crow's nest. Checking these spots periodically is a pretty good idea, just in case someone got on your boat without you noticing. Once you have a captainship, you're going to be selling all your loot to the sovereign tent. To make selling even easier, you're going to want to place all your loot near the front of your your boat right here. This way, when we get to the outpost, we can use this harpoon up the top of this ladder to grab all the loot straight away, saving a ton of time. If you're representing Reapers, which is the best company for earning money, you want to place all your loot on the very tip of the boat. Then, when you get to Reaper's hideout, you want to pull up from the south side of the island, wedging your boat into this gap here. Leave the sails down while you dump all the loot from the boat. Then raise your sails to avoid the boat despawning, and they can sell all your loot as it's right next to the tent. To have easier access to the best supplies, you want to place a storage crate here on the sloop. Place wood in the first slot in case you need wood in an emergency, like when your mast drops down or the steering wheel is broken. Then you can put all the best food straight after. So now you have everything you're ever going to need right next to your wheel. Unlike wind, waves always travel southeast, meaning while heading northwest, the opposite direction, you're always going to have a terrible trip as the waves are going to knock your boat off course. So if you're about to sell and you're between two outposts, I would target the one whichever's the least towards northwest. This does depend on wind, of course, like I'd probably prioritize wind, but it's worth remembering if you can't be bothered fighting those waves every time. Tall tales can be used to fast travel to certain spots around the map. By looking at the map, you can see islands where tall tales are located, and then you can use this to dive to that island. For easy storage management, I keep only cannonballs and chains in the top barrel and keep blunder bombs, fire bombs, and any other firework in the bottom. This is just so when in higher intensity PvP situations, you're not going to accidentally panic and grab the wrong cannon type. As I said earlier about tridents being good for defeating bosses, the problem is that tridents aren't that easy to come by. So instead, I'd always use the throwing knives, as these are also greatly effective on PvE. If you're doing a fort, find an ammo box, and all you have to do is stand by it, and you can infinitely spam the knives, which do 60 damage for each throw. You can actually use the harpoon to get through tight spaces that you normally wouldn't fit. For example, the sloop window. I don't know when this would be useful, but you know it now. So if you find merf fruit in barrels, it can be cooked, and then when eaten, your mermaid won't spawn in for 2 minutes. So if you want to go for a sneaky play, these are going to help out a lot, as it's going to make getting on an opponent's boat a lot easier. Sleeping in the bed slowly heals you. It's extremely slow and it's very impractical, but it's a cool detail. When a skeleton spawns with a keg, if you want to save the keg but you don't have a sniper or pistol to take it out, you can actually sword lunge the skeleton while facing the ground, which will kill the skeleton and somehow not blow up the keg. The best way to set up a trap to steal loot is by placing down the trap with a blunder bomb in it, then hide a keg in the nearby area out of sight. Then when a player steps on the trap, the blunder bomb will trigger the keg, eliminating the player. Oh shit. And she didn't have it. Okay, well, everyone kind of forgot about this update, but as part of the blow dart weapon, you can actually change ammo to a dart, which when you shoot another player, disguises you as them. I don't think this has ever been really effective, and I don't think anyone's ever pulled off a steal with this, but it's worth messing around with if you're bored. If you don't like the world event on your server, or you want to find one with more players, but you don't want to lose your supplies by leaving the game, the best way is to dive on the basic gold hoarder dig. This is going to put you on a brand new server, and if you still don't like the look of this server, all you got to do is dig up the chests, and then you can just dive again straight away. Just be sure you don't cancel the quest, as this will give you a delay before you can dive again. If you see a horn of fair winds on a beach, you're definitely going to want to take it. While it does sell for a bit of gold, it's also fun to use on players, and if your boat doesn't have wind, you can blow into your own sail to give yourself the wind effect, meaning if you have one of these, you're always going to have wind until it runs out. Before we move on to some pro tips.
Hey! Whoa there! I just found out you're not subscribed!
When playing Hourglass mode, or you're in any other high intensity PvP scenario, keeping any spare empty supply crates on the side of your boat next to the cannons can stop the enemy from harpooning you off the cannons, which if they do harpoon you is going to leave your boat defenseless and probably end the fight. If you want to shoot your guns as fast as possible, it's essential you learn how to X cancel between shots. This is done by pressing the put away button, which is circle on PlayStation or B on Xbox. Pressing this button twice will put the gun away and bring it back out, cancels the short delay after shooting, giving you a noticeable speed increase when you're reloading. As you can see here, here's me shooting normally, and then here's me shooting while X canceling. You can sprint while holding one-handed items such as skulls, but there's actually a way to sprint while carrying chests as well. This one's going to take a bit of practice to get good at. You basically want to start by having your camera level, then you're going to drop the chest so it gets the most distance in front of you. Then quickly press the sprint button and pick up the chest at the same time, and then bring your camera back up to level, drop it again, and keep repeating this over and over. It's also essential you have tap to interact on in settings, meaning you don't have to hold the pickup button, because otherwise this is just going to be impossible. It's crazy the amount of people in my comments who still don't know this, but you can actually sell emissary flags on outposts to the skeleton above the Reaper's table. This has been a thing for quite a while, but I guess some people still don't know about it. So you don't actually have to go all the way back up to Reaper's hideout anymore, you can just sell it to the skeleton. Voting on the Skull of Siren Song quest will actually make your boat spawn closer after sinking. This is because this is meant to be a PvP quest, and Rare kind of wanted people to fight over it, so they wanted you to be able to get back in in the fight quickly by spawning closer to where you last sank. So I always vote this quest up, even if I don't plan on completing it, just in case you get sunk and want to come back to your loot, you'll be able to make it back way faster. Having versatile movement and staying active while in fights is essential for taking out your enemy. So if you want to confuse your enemies even more, try grabbing the ladder from inside the sloop. All you gotta do is stand on this ammo crate and line it up with the ladder outside the window. It will take a bit of practice to do fast in fights, but it will have your enemy wondering where the hell you just went, allowing you to get a reload off or eat a bit of fruit. Another similar spot to do this is by standing on the back of the ship by the map table and grabbing the sail, putting you up on the top deck. This one is definitely far less useful, as you sort of need to rely on your waves being good, but maybe it'll come in handy one day, who knows. If you're in a naval fight with another crew, getting their mast knocked down is a huge step to win the fight. But after you knock it down, try and then target cannons at the back of their boat where they're going to be trying to pull it back up, which is going to make it far harder for them to pull the sail back up. Timing a blunderbomb throw right while falling will prevent taking full damage on impact, regardless of how far you fall from. You still just got to learn the timing and throw it about half a second before you hit the ground. If you play on PC, it's important when adjusting your graphic settings that you keep model detail at least rare or higher. This is because for some reason this setting changes how far loot is visible from, which in a game about getting and stealing loot is going to be pretty important. I feel like they should give more of a warning for this, because when I was new I had this setting on low and could never see loot. And if you're looking for a chest in the water, put this right up to mythical. When not in combat, make sure your cannons are facing down. Moving the cannons is slow, so in the event you get surprise attacked, you want to be ready to return fire. Using black screen spots is the best way to get back to your boat if you get jumped unexpectedly. Black screen spots are pretty common on forts, which is where you're going to be attacked the most. All you're going to want to do is get a cannon, put it all the way to the left, and then run and jump towards it, and it should black screen you. And for Fort of the Dam, which doesn't have any cannons, there's this spot here, which is going to black screen you every time. If you board an enemy boat and want to sink it, but they don't have any holes, the best way to start giving them holes is by throwing fire behind their map table here. This is because this one spot opens 4 holes, while also being kind of out the way, so if you're actively trying to kill them, they're not going to have much of an opportunity to put it out. The best tucking spot in the game is on the sloop. Just stand up by the sail adjust, walk forward a step, and your character will drop down slightly, then hit the hide emote, and you'll be completely hidden. It can take a few tries, but I have never been found here ever, so it's pretty OP. If you want to always have angle on the enemy's boat while spiraling, keep their boat between the sail raise and the lantern on the slope. Glancing over to make sure they're between these two during a fight will give you a clear idea of how your angle's looking and if you need to quickly adjust. If you have a rare item on your boat, like a chest of fortune or Athena, these are some of the best places to put it to avoid it being stolen. On the sloop, you can put it on this barrel here, which if a player runs down, they're not going to see it easily, and it'll probably run downstairs and then run back up. On brig, I'd put it on this barrel at the front, as it's pretty well hidden, and for galleon, I'd do in front of the wheel or behind the captain's chair. Every boat has a vent in the middle, which can be used to throw water out of, but I wouldn't really try throwing water out of it. The way I'd utilize this vent is you can actually shoot players through it. Most effective on the sloop, you can just sit up top deck as they're below getting food or whatever else, and you can just snipe them while they're at the barrels, or even throw a blunderbomb down just to confuse the hell out of them. And lastly, to finish the video, you can actually load your cannon while eating or shooting at the same time. It's called third person loading, and you do it by half loading the first cannon of the session with a normal cannon. Then after this, you can use any throwable like a blunderbomb, firebomb, whatever, to start the load, then put it away by pressing X or circle. Doing this means a normal cannon will be loaded. Because of this, while the cannon is basically self-loading, you can actually snipe back at the enemy's boat or dodge their cannons, heal up if you've been sniped, and as long as you stay close and are looking at the cannons, they'll be loading themselves before you can then jump back on, shoot the cannon, and repeat. And that's all 50 tips. Thanks for watching this far, you're a real one. We did touch on some PvP tips this video, but you should check out my hourglass guide on screen now for a full PvP deep dive.